welcome into another edition of First Take. You noticing anything different going on here? It is a special women's only edition of First Take right here on ESPN. I'm Jen Latta filling in for Molly Karam, and I'm joined by ESPNW's The Trifecta. You probably recognize Kate Fagan, Jane McManus, and Sarah Spain. You know they're going to bring the heat today. We will also be joined a little later by ESPN NFL contributor Annie Apple, who is, of course, the mother of Eli Apple, the newest rookie for the Giants in New York. She is always fascinating, a character, and we are so happy to have her as well. But let's get started with the takes this morning, ladies, all right?
Yes,
NBA action. Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat have not been able to come to an agreement on a contract. Sources told ESPN.com that Wade's representatives have made it known to multiple teams over the last few days that he will be on the market. LeBron James will also opt out of his deal, but as we know, he is expected to re-sign with the Cavs. Kate, a lot of people love seeing these two play together. Would you like to see LeBron and Wade back together again on the court?
Of course I want this. I absolutely want this. Let me point out two quick things, though, beforehand. One, it does kind of feel a little bit like if Wade went and played with LeBron. Like when you're cool kids in high school, that's really cool when you're in high school. But then once you come back from college and they're still hanging out, you're a little bit like, that's a lot less cool. So I get that compared to the super teams in Golden State, a super team in Golden State, compared to the big three we have seen elsewhere. This would be one that was more on the aging side. And I get the money issues that are at play here because the Cavs don't have a ton of flexibility compared to a ton of other teams in the NBA in terms of being able to make something like this happen. You would have to think about either Wade taking, and this seems unlikely, some sort of mid-level exception or a sign and trade, or they trade Love to create cap room. So I get both of those two points are on my mind, and yet I still want this to happen because look at Hollywood. Look at all the movies we watch when it comes to superhero movies. We have this noble idea that we want parity, whether it's in college basketball, whether it's in pro basketball. We're like, look, parity is amazing. We want every team to have a chance. But in those movies, when we want to pay attention to something, do we want 25 low-level superheroes middling in fights? No! We want our two superheroes
shots at the Avengers, right? Are we taking shots at the Avengers because we prefer Batman? I mean, look, I understand your point, and yeah, I mean, if this is going to increase our Snapchat filters, we're going to get more banana boats, we're going to get more NBA free agency Snap filters, I'm all for that. But like you said, the Cavs do not have the ability to do this unless they make a trade, right? As you mentioned, they would have to give him the taxpayer mid-level exception, which is around $3 million, right? That's a big drop-off from the $20 million he's making. And Wade has never been the highest paid player on his own team, right? So you're expecting this guy once again to say, I want to go play with my buddy. I want to be on a team with LeBron James. So once again, I'm going to be a guy that takes the pay cut. And you're taking him out of South Beach, where he's got, you know, that tax-free lifestyle. He lives there with Gabrielle Union. He's got his boys there. So you're taking him and putting him in Cleveland, which has a lot of meaning for LeBron, means nothing to Wade, just so they can get paired up together. And, you know, what does that mean for Wade's legacy and how he views himself, right? 34-year-old guy, some people might say he's on his way out, but he had a spectacular season. He's defying the odds age-wise. If he follows LeBron to Cleveland, that ends up being the narrative of, is he going to win without LeBron again? LeBron goes to Cleveland, brings a title there, and then Wade, you know, like a little puppy, goes and follows him over there. Fun to watch them together, but I don't think it's the right choice for Dwayne Wade.
Sarah Spain, headline, taking shots at Cleveland already.
I was born in Cleveland, all right? I got out.
Can't even believe it.
That's what I'm saying. That's another shot. I got out.
No, but for me, I want to see it, even if he has to leave Miami, which is a paradise on earth, because I love super teams. I do. And the reason I like them is because the stakes are higher. There's more money involved, and there is winning on the line. You know they're only going there to get a title. So therefore, it ratchets up the attention on them. I like to think of the 2011 Eagles, Nnamdi Asomugha, Michael Vick.
She always goes to football.
I know, I'm sorry. That's my
I'm
wheelhouse.
amazed that she skipped the Jets.
We've done
nearly second.
I know.
But how long we got till roller
We're just doing that for the rest of the show.
It's only a matter of time before Sarah and I go to Chicago.
I was happy.
I know, right? Yeah. You're just lucky I didn't come to New York. Yeah. So, but anyway, the Eagles then went 8-8. They were interesting anyway, and the reason they were interesting is because there was so much money on the line, they didn't produce. So I like that these teams, that you've got Wade thinking, who could I go to? You've got LeBron thinking, who can I bring in? Because I think it makes it more fun to watch.
Well, you're talking about Wade now being viewed as if he is chasing after LeBron's championship. But I think considering the history that they have together, and considering that at one point it felt like LeBron was then tagging along with Wade, and LeBron was okay with that, and considering the friendship they have, and now I'm like psychologizing about them, but I doubt that that's playing into Dwayne Wade. And also, the fact that he, like, qualifying his year this year is like fantastic is a little bit above and beyond. He got paid $20 million and he averaged, I think it was like 19 points per game. Yes, he got that team to the playoffs, but this is not a guy anymore who should be getting paid.
Right, no, he's not a 1A for a team. I get that. And look, I understand your point about them colluding, or if you don't believe in that happening, possibly colluding to go to Miami. But that was also Pat Riley and the Heat putting themselves in the perfect position to get those three guys, right? They had, I think, one player on the books when they went out and tried to pursue those three guys. Would they have gone elsewhere if it weren't for the fact that that team had the space, that team was in South Beach, that team had all that to offer? So I didn't view that so much as LeBron going to piggyback off Wade's previous successes with the Heat, or LeBron using, you know, Dwayne Wade to get what he wants. I figured that's the space that made sense, right? Whereas in this case, I don't think Cleveland is necessarily the space that makes sense in the same way. They don't have the room. You know, the offers that they made, the deals that they gave to Kyrie Irving, Tristan Thompson, and Kevin Love almost eliminate them from being a big player in the free agency sweepstakes. So when you're talking about Wade going there, it doesn't make sense other than to go be with his boy, which could be enough for him, but it was not that case when LeBron went to Miami.
And I pointed that out at the top. This is not a case where Cleveland just has unlimited resources going into this free agency market, but it is a case where we've already talked about what they're going to do with Love. And we've already talked about the fact that Love going elsewhere is, number one, good for Love and good for the Cavs. It's one of those rare moments where Love can then go back to being a more key cog in a place and also have a championship, and the team that he's leaving also needs to produce more at certain levels.
Are you convinced he's gone, though? It sounds like you're convinced Love is gone, because the talk out of Cleveland sounds like they're like, look, it all ended up working out.
Totally.
Right? Like, well,
because they're still in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, exactly.
They're still in the weeks after,
if you will.
I knew you would go that.
It was good about it. Each other, Kanye music video style. Like, that was good, guys.
Guys, we knew that was happening at some point.
Wait till the morning after. Let's see what happens.
It's still in that moment after where you're basking in the glow of it, as opposed to the time when now all of a sudden you have to focus on how you're going to win an NBA championship in the next upcoming season, especially considering that you can argue that the fact that they beat the Warriors was in large part due to certain injuries, and you can't necessarily say that they would be the favorite going into next year. In fact, Vegas doesn't have them as the favorite. So at that point, you have to look at where you can upgrade. And certainly Love is a key place when you consider the money and then also what output
and Jane loves the narratives, right? And so she likes the drama of the passive-aggressive interactions between LeBron and Love. So you would probably like Love to stick around just so that you can have a whole nother year of LeBron, like, dragging his way through this mess and hoping that it ends well.
Crying on him at some point.
Yeah, at the end, that was like the perfect visual, right? For after a season of struggling, LeBron passive-aggressive, subtweeting everybody. At the end, the first guy that's closest to him when they win it is Kevin Love. Oh, everything's forgotten. Like,
so next year it'll be Dwayne Wade then comes over, puts an arm around both of those guys, and they can all...
Jane, let me ask you this. She's already talked about the odds. A lot of people would say that the narrative is that Cleveland is the team to beat in the East. Do you think that Dwayne Wade cares about his legacy as far as if he looks like he's following LeBron off to Cleveland?
I don't think that's a thing for him. And you know what? Here's what I think. I think at this point in those guys' careers, it's about titles, right? That's what you play for, whether it's tennis or whatever. At some point in your career...
Tennis mentioned.
Well, we got Serena Williams coming up, and she's going for one, too.
All right.
These girls are just filling out their bingo cards.
We got the Jane bingo. We're looking for roller derby, and I'm a mom.
Right, exactly. It's coming up. But so I think they have to look and say, where can I win a title? What can I do? Because that's what matters. When your final Wikipedia page is going to have how many titles you won, and that's going to be one of the most important numbers that you can accumulate.
For me, I think it's not only titles, it's who they get to play with. And we've heard the narrative from LeBron, from Carmelo, from Chris Paul, from Wade. We want to play with our boys, right? The Banana Boat Brothers. That's what I'm calling them. The Banana Boat Brothers want to play together. Now, Paul and Melo don't have the ability to get off the books now unless they go through a trade. They're still signed to their teams. But, you know, Wade and LeBron are coming up at the same time. And that's two pieces that enjoyed playing together. Now, if they can start the trend towards somewhere and make it a possibility that they can get all those guys together. Look, they don't have that much time left. Wade's 34, the other guys are 31, 32, and not only that, but the number of seasons. 13 seasons for all of them. I think it's 11 for Chris Paul. They don't have that much time left to make the Banana Boat brothers a reality.
Well, and Carmelo's going after his other boy.
Yeah. Well,
with
and also, Wade is in a different position than, say, a Kevin Durant, where then the conversation around him becomes, is he going to spurn loyalty and this team he was drafted into to chase a title? Dwayne Wade is in a position now where a lot of fans are looking at it as if Miami has not been loyal to him.
Absolutely.
And he has taken pay cuts throughout the years. And so it's a completely different position for him to leave, whether it is Cleveland or somewhere else, and be like, I wasn't getting respected where I was, as opposed to Kevin Durant, who's getting all the respect.
And he's reiterating that now in his conversations, because in the offseason, after a contentious discussion last year that led to that one-year, $20 million deal, he said, I hope next time it's smoother. I hope we just figure it out. And look, it's not again. So this, you know, they're putting all their money in, can we get Durant? They're still deciding on Hassan Whiteside. So once again, he's left being the player that waves in the wind until they figure out what's going to happen. And for a guy like Dwayne Wade, who has brought titles to the city, and who has been the steady and sturdy presence throughout. Oh, and they're also waiting to see what happens with Chris Bosh. Add that into the mix as well. So everything around him is a mess. He's the one sturdy guy left, and they can't get it done for him, whether or not that's the Heat's fault or whether it's the result of all those pieces that need to fall. You're right. He's not going to leave, and they're going to say that's disloyal. He's going to leave, and they're going to say, thanks for what you did for us. We kind of get it.
And that's the kind of murky territory you wade into when you're giving contracts.
Yeah, Wade.
When you're giving contracts based not necessarily totally on basketball merit, but on what had you done for this franchise before? What contracts did you take less money on? Is this an honorarium like you gave to Kobe? And all of a sudden, when the two of you, the team and the player, are going to look at it in a completely different manner. If it's not based solely on basketball. And for Dwayne Wade in Miami, it's no longer based solely on basketball.
Right, so the expectations would have to be on the same page as far as what Wade expects from the team and what the team expects from him.
And when you take those cuts, it better pay off in the future, right?
That's what he's processing.
And you can't control for what changes in the future to see if they can pay off that promise.
And you ladies have alluded to this several times, but the Durant domino certainly affects the rest of the league. So let's move on to him.